next guest and I were introduced, I think, a year ago. We've probably had drinks and interesting conversations in the last 2 months in over 3 or 4 different countries. I'm happy to call him my friend. Welcome to another episode of Europreneur, the number one podcast for entrepreneurs, led by myself, Nir Zavao, and the Entrepreneurs Organization in Europe. And welcome. How's it going, Leonidas?
Hi, Nir. Nice to be with you guys. Everything is going great, I guess.
Uh,
I'm now in Athens, and it's super warm, so it's super nice, I guess.
it's so lucky that there's no global warming, right?
Yeah, this is the what has been preached by the previous U.S. president. So there's no global warming, only 45 degrees somewhere between June and July. That's fine.
You know, just so people know that not only are we good friends, but you're helping me and I'm helping you with accountability. We spent some time together in an event now in Santorini discussing life by design, which the EO Greek chapter organized and was amazing, unbelievable 3 days. And one of the things that impacted me is that I wanted to make a self change and I decided to lose weight and focus my whole life for the next 2 months about losing that weight. And I don't know if you remember, but today is my 22nd day running. So probably by the time this airs, I'll be finishing my 30-day runs, which is exciting. How are you doing with that?
I'm doing great. I have the occasional, volatility where at some point I get out of the street. But the good part with accountability is that, it's a mean reversion thing. So it keeps you aligned to wherever you want to go. So long story short, working out has been great. Eating habits are improving. So we're getting there, I think. We're getting there. It's very happy.
I love this concept of accountability with people from different countries. It's not just an excuse to meet new people and kind of get well introduced to their culture and stuff and the way they see things, but holding someone accountable is important, I think, right? What do you think about doing these things?
It's actually very important because it comes back to integrity, right, with yourself. So, for example, I value you as a person, and therefore I am accountable to you because I want to be my integrity. I want to be aligned with who you all want to be. So, if you were someone random, I wouldn't care. But because it's you, actually, I want to be accountable to you, and therefore to who I am personally and deeply. So I think it very well aligns with integrity. It's interesting, I think.
So, are you ready to do the short elevator pitch? I ask everyone to introduce themselves. Feel free, go for it.
The elevator pitch, good. So I'm Leonidas. I'm a member of EO Greece, a member of the European Bridge chapter, and I'm an engineer in heart. So the core thing of what I want to do and what I do in life is I like to solve problems. It's part of my identity. Our core business is a ship repair business. We are repairing ocean-going ships, so big tankers, big bulk carriers. They come to Greece and we repair them. Steel works, pipe works, engine works. This is a family company that my brother and I have been running for the past 6 or 7 years. It's been around for more than 70 years, actually. So the definition of a family company, I guess, we're the third generation. Uh, and then, after that, now I have two new startups, one in the blockchain and then one in the ship supplies domain. So after EO, I mean, before EO, I was working 100-hour weeks. Now I'm still working 100-hour weeks, but I'm doing more. But it's interesting, I guess. So
You
long
always
story
wanted to be
short,
an
that's
engineer?
pretty much who I am. I like to find the way things work. So you see, I'm an avid reader. I read a lot, right? And for me, it's very nice to be able to stare at the sun, not directly because it's not good, but see and know how it works. Like I can look through someone's eyes and know how their eyes work and the melanopsin cells in the eyes, and then look at the floor. And it's very exciting for me, and all these ideas behind of how everything operates are transferable to other domains. And this is how it's nice in the business community where you're trying to solve things taking bits and bytes from other industries.
it's funny you say that because what's running through my head is that we are now doing the accountability and the weight loss, and I'm like exercising a lot and eating less, and you're explaining to me the behind the scenes of how the body works, and it's very interesting. Like I know that you're an avid reader, but tell me something. Your father was an engineer. This is a family company. How much of an impact do you think family or the way we are brought up or our surroundings have an impact on what we become as people, as entrepreneurs?
Let's say this way. I was born and raised in a family where so I'm blessed to have a family that loves me the most. Like I've heard all the stories everywhere. I and both my brother and I think I can speak for himself. We are blessed. My mother is like my boys, is a boy's mom, whatever. But we always had the idea where, guys, you can do whatever you want, but there is this corner there, which is like a business we started, and then you can take it whenever you want, right? So it's over there. So indirectly, there was some, alignment towards that direction. But I think seeing my father working and how he operated everything before, and actually seeing difficult times, like seriously during the crisis, the financial crisis in Greece, things were really difficult. Right? Imagine going from mid seven figures to mid six figures, and then losing more than 50 people, and seeing someone trying to like irrationally trying to survive. If I were, I studied in Greece engineering. I did my finance degree in Paris in HEC. So if I were to talk with someone about greed, it would be my father, because there is no rationale behind holding on to this thing. And this is insane. The perseverance that this has taught me, and that's why we are pushing through and pushing through. This is something that it's very difficult to get. It's, I don't know, it's difficult, seriously.
It's what I'm hearing is at the end there is an impact on where we grow up or the possibilities we have. But then what's interesting about going into a struggling industry, a struggling business during a crisis, right? You guys had in Greek the 2008, if I'm not mistaken, and it's been a very long crisis. And then you say, "I'm in." Why? Why not stay in Paris?
Yeah. So when I was finishing my degree, things were really bad, and I could make a run for the UK and become a banker, finance degrees and so forth, proprietary trading and everything, or I could go forward and take all this romantic side of helping the business and so forth and assisting my family. So in the beginning, it was a feeling of debt. I owe. They did everything they could to raise me and my brother in an amazing way. It goes without saying that I have something that I can offer them and help them, right? They never asked for anything, right? By the way, but this feeling of I owe them to do something, and then to, let's say, follow some dreams wherever I can, be involved in the shipping industry and so forth. Because I mean, I like the sea. I'm a naval architect, and so forth. And it's something that I want to do. There is a very romantic notion behind it that people may not like. It's people may not have it anymore, but it's do the impossible thing. It's part of my identity, I think.
So you're still staying a romantic. From what I understand, the boats, ships you guys work on are pretty big. Am I correct?
Yes, so they're like 200-meter ships, bulk carriers, container ships, like they're big constructions, right? They're big.
So here's my question. You guys do the heavy lifting, but when a ship arrives, it doesn't call you and say, "Hey, I need to fix something. I'll be there tomorrow at 8 a.m." These things need planning and things. I do marketing. We have a new idea, a new campaign. We can do it in 24 hours. We can plan for 3 months, but it depends on what we need to do. How do you plan? How far ahead do you guys plan your business?
Funny enough, the shipping industry has changed a lot. So every ship has a window where they have to go for repairs, like by law. And what is happening is the world trade is changing, like every day. Every day is changing. Something happens in the Black Sea, then have the Suez Canal is blocked. The dynamics of the world trade are changing very much. And what is happening is the way it works now is they send you like a quotation request, and they tell you, listen, if all goes well, we need the slot. We need a repair slot in 10 days, 15 days. Do you have it? So the problem right now is our window, our horizon of events goes up until the moment, let's say, where we are down 1 or 2 months down the road maximum. Whereas in the past, it was like 6 months in advance. They were well prepared. All the spare parts were there waiting for us. But now it changed. And they're just like, listen, we are outside Crete Island and there's an issue.
How do you see the world changing in that aspect of cargoes, the situation with the supply chain?
I really like the whole strategic, geostrategic, and political side of things because things change in a very nice way, meaning that the balance globally is changing, right? There are powers that are now fighting for the energy domain, and this is creating imbalances in all the surrounding sectors. You'd see the trade, the global trade that were, let's say, westbound, all the goods were being transported to the west. And right now, what we're seeing, for example, that many factories in Europe, be it Germany or wherever, they're starting now to build factories or let's say restart factories in order to build domestically stuff and not import them because they want to be not reliable to other countries. And so this is what is happening right now. And then with the energy, natural gas, there is this issue with Russia and so forth. So Europe is very dependent to Russia. Now this is changing. So they're importing natural gas. I think everyone sees the global strategy in politics in their small horizon of whatever, 50 years, 30 years, and so forth. But these imbalances have been taking place centuries. It's just that, I mean, history tends to rhymes. Okay, maybe it doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. So, it has happened in the past as well, in different ways, smaller ways, but it does happen.
How traditional is your industry? Is it still like old school? Everything's done by paper? Is it computerized? Is it moving anywhere? Or is it still?
Um, so the shipping industry is the only industry, to my knowledge, that has not been touched by technology yet. So let's say it's a typical industry where chipping is like hammering, takes place nonstop on deck. They drive. So the ship, what actually does is a big car that transports goods, right? It's a big truck. And the cheap labor, actually, what it's doing is like it's decreasing all the level and so forth. But what we are trying to do now with us, with the two startups we are starting, is we're trying to use the blockchain for authentication. We're trying to make ship supplies easier for the crew and for the people. And you see many startups now, they're starting to engulfing and bringing once more transferable technologies from other industries to this industry, making it more open, more transparent. Imagine that every ship is like a shipping company in some foreign jurisdiction. This happens for every shipping company globally. It's Marshall Islands, Cayman Islands, Liberia, you name it. And there is not so much transparency of what's happening there, the money, how they're being transferred, and so forth. So that's what now we're trying to create, and everyone is trying to create more transparency, more reliability, increase the level to avoid, let's say, issues that will create potential big problems like a big oil spill and so forth. So we're getting there. I think it's the next industry to be tasked a lot by technology.
So you think that transparency will lower prices, will create higher reliability? We as the consumer, we have no idea what's going on. We only know that it came to our postal office, to our house. That's it.
By adding transparency, we create an indirect demand to increase the level of the services offered. Because right now, what is happening is there are low-cost countries that they are supposed to be repairing vessels, for instance, in my industry, and then the job they're doing, they're not very, or let's say, equivalently professional, right? Or they're not using the correct materials, or they're not using the correct welding procedures, and so forth. This will have a long-term effect down the road, right? It's the same thing, imagine an airplane, but it's actually more profound there. Imagine that you repair an airplane somewhere in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, and then instead of using the proper blade, you use something else. Problem is with the airplane, if something happens, then we have a big impact directly. Whereas in the shipping industry, the safety factor is very big. Like even if there is a hole in the hull, right? the vessel will, naval architects have managed very well to make it float. So people don't care that much right now, right? And worst case scenario, you get into the lifeboat and then you just throw one firework and someone will pick you up, which is not the case with other industries, right?
It's interesting. Do you think that the way we consume things will change as people go into more, as you said, factories are more domestic, less moving parts between ships, planes? Do you think that's where the global village is going, back to separation?
I think that technology is the greatest enabler for everything. And let's say farming, you take an industry, whichever industry you want. For example, you will have soon enough vertical farming, and then you will be able to farm tomatoes in sub-Saharan Africa, or you will be able to farm tomatoes in Norway, North Norway, where there is like snow, 5 meters of snow up and I don't know, 7 months a year. So technology is a great enabler, which actually will make localized works possible. It's a decentralized mentality, and that's actually the mentality behind the blockchain, where you can have local hubs that are equivalently competitive and therefore will be able to run sufficiently. If you need scalability, you might need a huge whatever land to make a vertical farming. But long story short, the industries, the technologies, that it will help us to make things possible. Even you take marketing, for example, you have online so many services, SaaS business, so forth. You can be, I don't know, in a mountain and then have a $1 billion company. It's fine.
You mentioned marketing. So, who is your audience? How do you reach a big shipping company? You call them, you say, hey, I have an opening, let's chat.
Um, Funny enough, it happens like that as well. That's the I think that's a nice beauty in an industry like shipping. So you are like pick up the phone and then you start talking with a superintendent engineer, a technical guy from a shipping company, and you're like, listen, we have this opening. Maybe one vessel of your fleet, which I know that is going to be repaired soon enough, would like to go to this slot. But the way we work is we have some representative agents in every country. So let's say in Germany, one, Norway, one, Italy, Singapore, and so forth. But they represent us. And what they do is they have very good connections with the shipping industry, the shipping companies there. So they go every week to their offices, they call them, they follow up the fleet there locally. And then whenever there is a vessel that will be in our region, they say, listen, Karel, our company is at that region. Would you like me to check if they have a slot for you guys? Straightforward. And then they check, and then they check other vessels in the region. Because imagine when a ship is due for repairs, you cannot take the ship easily from, let's say, the Eastern Med and say, listen, I will take it to China because it's cheaper. Unless there's a cargo to take it there, it doesn't make sense. The money is like insane, right? They're losing so much money per day. So the way we work is with local agents, and then we make meetings as well ourselves. So we go there, we meet the shipping companies. We're like, hey, welcome. How can I help you? This is what we do. This is how we are improving. That's what we did so far. And start the whole sales pitch of how we do it.
The reason why I'm asking, because it could be very interesting to see how marketing goes into the modern disruption that your industry is going through. And as a marketer, you know how much I like these things. So it's very interesting to me. In a different topic, you mentioned that you work 100 hours a week, and you run, or you're starting two more businesses. Why not start one?
Because good is the enemy of great, I guess. And um, I like, we had this discussion, I like very much sayings from big people. So I like sayings because there's a lot of, um, let's say, mindset behind the thoughts. So I'd like to be impatient with actions and patient with the results. This is a quote from Naval Ravikant. Okay. And I don't want to wait any longer for things to happen. So I would like to plant many seeds, right? That's my idea behind investing, value investing, whatever you call it. And then I understand that whatever 50% of that will go up, and then 50% might not go up. So um, I'm diversifying the ignorance I have about many industries and moving forward because I don't want to lose time. We have a very tiny amount of time on this planet. So I want to make it, I want to make it worth. So I'm just pushing through.
Uh, no, it's always interesting to me that we have a business and then we can decide to grow it, and then the 80/20, right? Like, would I invest so much more time to increase it by 2%, and is it worth it? And if the 2% is not enough money, is it worth it? And then we say, okay, I have a new idea, which, by the way, could sit on that first idea but explode. And as you said, taking a lot of the spare parts and that part of that your industry into blockchain, in my opinion, would be unbelievable and well needed, by the way, in the automotive industries and others on a daily basis. But then it's always interesting that we have this tendency to do more. We don't like something and we fix it, we push it. By the way, what I believe is entrepreneurship. Yeah, entrepreneurship is not, in my opinion, two people with a small agency managing some stuff. It's about ideation and perseverance and pushing. But you can work probably 40 hours a week and be doing other stuff.
Um, so yes and no. And why I say yes and no? Because I I would wish for everyone to have a life where they don't want to have vacation from, right? So everyone, I have friends, they are thinking about 5 p.m. Friday and then it's weekend. For me, there is no difference in every day because I'm doing something that I'm seeing in the future that might make sense. In that glimpse in the future, that will be like a big, hairy, audacious goal where their life is amazing. For me, it's insane, you know? For instance, we have a new vertical. We're fabricating hydrogen generators, like for a company, and we've made an agreement with them. And we are the mentality behind it is: imagine you are downtown London, downtown Greece, downtown whatever, and you can hear the birds, you can smell like a village, right? There is no noise, there is no fumes. That's an amazing future. That's something worth fighting for. That's something worth not sleeping so much, right? And I'm sure that you know clearly I work 100-hour weeks, but I'm trying to work out. You know that you're my accountable partner. I'm trying to take some days off, and whenever I take days off, I work. Like I have my laptop with me. I don't. My life is not. I don't find it difficult, let's say, to have my laptop and working for 6 hours a day. Like I wake up early, I work, then a bit in the afternoon, then work moves forward. So I don't find it bad. It's rather that I try to optimize for the future, right? You have a strategy. The tactics is which street you go, and the operation is the same, the pace you follow. So I'm trying to optimize all those things towards the goal.
There are many young entrepreneurs and students listening to this or watching this interview, and many of them are not happy about what they do and they live for that weekend. Do you think they should quit? Do you think they should find a passion? Do you think they should start a side hustle? What would you suggest if you could give them a bit of a Greek wisdom?
Um, the way I think about the future is I start with the end in mind, right? Where would I like to be in 10 years' time, or in 5 years' time, or next week, right? Uh, and then I'm working backwards. What is it needed to go and get there, right? And then I try to ask a question. Let's say if I need 3 years to make a business work, what would it take to make this a 6 month goal? What should I be doing? Like an exotic thing. Do I need $1 billion? Do I need someone to come and do the work for me? And then funny enough, I see that you can decrease the time frame very much, right? Very, very much. And then at some point you see that you have many things coming up for you. And take an example like Tesla or SpaceX. Like the guy was blowing up rockets, Elon Musk, right? 2 years ago. And now he's making, I don't know, 100 trips to the moon and to the stratosphere and so forth. Cars like, Tesla cars. You got the plate now. It's beating every car on the street. And he started from nothing, from something that was breaking down every week. So it's an iteration and there is no failure. Like if I tend to think in the way of Simon Sinek about playing the infinite game. I'm not playing something localized forever. You have the milestones and everything, but I'm playing the game of winning life and being happy. So that's how I try to optimize for the future. And you don't have to make an agenda.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Simon Sinek's, I think, third book, if you exclude, I think you had a children's book or something. And then finite games are 90 minute soccer game. We know there's a winner, loser, or tie, and that's easy. And infinite games are where life, it will keep on going, and there is no really winner, and there is no number one company in your industry, right? You can't claim that as unless you absolutely know that by fact and numbers. The interesting thing is, yesterday I gave a workshop about marketing and brands at the university here in Israel. And I started by saying everything from now on, as the crisis is coming, inflation, and so on, is about marketing. Don't build a business. Only build marketing, and talk about it. And if enough people are interested, then you can build it. By the way, a few years ago, one of my partners at the bar said maybe we should open a new bar. I said no, no, no. Listen, let's put a guard, a red carpet, and a door. And if people queue up, we know that this is a good place to open a bar. Then it's easy. Now, why am I saying this? Because the interesting thing is, after 2 hours session, and everybody said, thank you, I took notes, it was great. And then one of the women said, listen, I think it's amazing. I should go back to this talk in 2 months and think about marketing. I remind you, I said at the beginning, you only need to think about marketing. I think that sometimes when we hear all these stories about Simon Sinek, Elon Musk building missiles, rockets, it's too big. You know, I think for many young entrepreneurs and students, they need that small, like, you came up with this idea to do that business on the blockchain, right? What's the first thing you did?
Thought how it would be in case this would work. Like, let's say 5 years down the road, it's working. What can happen? The way it works for me is like a TAM. How big is the market? This, so it's big. It's nice. I like impact. I like impact myself. And then, of course, I took the paper notes and then I started scribbling down how it can work, how it will work.
So backwards,
And then,
reverse engineering, right?
exactly. Thinking from the end in mind. Yeah, exactly.
I find that sometimes you have a job that you don't like. Maybe the side hustle is a great way to find what you do like. And sometimes it's very easy to say what we don't like. And even us as business owners, I have a huge list of things I really don't want to do. I have a list of things I shouldn't do. Okay. Like I shouldn't touch design. I'm not good at this. But then I have designers I like and I trust. Right. So do you optimize in that way of taking off things from the list in order to scale, to grow? How do you look at the next step for you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner?
So for years, I was trying to get what is bad for, let's say, in me, and then improve it. For instance, marketing is not my thing, right? And then one of the roles I took with the Greek chapter was to become an internal marketing chair. Little then, I had to check about what's HubSpot, how HubSpot works, how ActiveTrail works, prepare a newsletter, make it nice, make it aligned, the whole shebang of things. But the way I see it forward is I think I can optimize and have a bigger impact in doing things that I'm good at. And then, as this Eisenhower box, where I have to delegate things that I'm not good at. It's not have or have not. It's just that it will take me 10 hours. I will make a subpar result, and then someone else can make it in 2 hours and will be bellissimo. It's going to be amazing. So now I'm trying to move towards the direction where I do things I like and I'm good at.
During COVID, I bought a camera and started filming and editing. It was really nice, and again, I can edit. We can debate on the quality, but I can now have a better conversation with the editor when he does our YouTubes. I wanted to build a platform on certain no code platform. I took a $200 course for 8 days and learned how to do it. Can I code? No. Should I code? Definitely not. But now I understand a bit more about the jargon and what can I say, how to check certain things. I can save them time by doing the testing by myself, you know. So sometimes we need to know who we're dealing with. By the way, sometimes it shows a bit of respect, I think, right? When you and I talk about marketing, you know the concepts, you know the things. It's a different conversation by you studying it. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it, right?
I'm totally aligned with you. The way I see it is, it makes sense to have a helicopter view of where you want to go and what it's needed to go there. So, as you said very well, if you have an understanding of the marketing needs, right, the execution of all those needs isn't doesn't have to be yourself. It doesn't have to be part of your life and day-to-day job. The same side, for example, I like to be an entrepreneur. Doesn't mean that I will be the guy that will be coding the blockchain, whatever contract. I have seen it, how it is, but it's not part of my, let's say, future plans. I want to do other things. I like to talk with you. I like to talk with people. I'm more of an extrovert guy, right? But there are people that enjoy these things. You give them something to code and they will make Microsoft out of it. So they're good at that. Why not? So,
It's interesting.
optimize.
I really enjoy every single time I visit the Greek chapter. I've learned quite a lot about Athens. For those of you who don't know, by the way, the first time I went to meet the Greek chapter in Athens in 2018, I go into the meeting and they say half of us are called George and half of us are called Costa. And I couldn't stop laughing. And I've met amazing people. But how do things keep going? Like now things are better, but people have gone through like, pardon my French, but hell with the crisis and everything. And people kept going. And when you ask them, hey, how are you doing? You say, we're getting by. And there's a positive mindset about you can throw anything at us, but we'll survive it. Do you think that's a cultural thing?
I think it's a cultural thing. So we have been poisoned on a positive side. All the history of Greeks of, we managed to undertake all those fights in the past and then holding on to that. It's in the back side of our head, right? And it's important. So the way you would talk to someone back in 2009, 2010, apart from blaming, let's say, the government, which is something that we even do it now, what we would do is this too shall pass. Everyone would tell you, okay, it's a crisis. We have had many crises in Greece, right? Like the 50s, the 70s, this, that, Second World War. So for us, a crisis is a way where we can redefine ourselves and then we find the solution and move forward. Right? We are quite, I think, anti-fragile. We become stronger by the hits we're getting. It's like a muscle, right? So it gets stronger and stronger. You see, we got out of the financial crisis, and you would see the tourism that we have. We are in the tens of millions per year. And if you go now to the Greek islands, you will see like very few Greeks, by the way, because Greeks go vacation in August pretty much, and then everything is 99% capacity since April. So tourism is skyrocketing. Shipping. We are a 10 million people country, and nearly 1 out of 4 ships now floating are owned by Greek people. So, whenever everyone is selling, we are buying. And, day-to-day job, right? You would see, we were in the financial crisis, you could go out every day on a Tuesday, you will see people drinking a beer, having whatever, gin, tonic, or something, right? And then, it's the mentality of this too shall pass. The world will continue to move forward and the earth will continue spinning and so forth. So we don't tend to, I think we don't tend to look at the problem now, but the future will something happen one way or another. And then this nice creative, I don't know, mechanics moves forward on its own. And that's how it works pretty much
I love it. It's a
for
bit
the 3 millennia.
inspiring. And it's also a bit, in Israel, we have a sentence, "Yeh beseder," it will be all right. So for you guys, this too shall pass, you have to wait. And for us, is don't worry about it. Then sometimes it doesn't work out as planned, but we say, but we thought, but it will be all right. And I think that's maybe a Mediterranean thing that we have, together with very good food. Um, I want to say a huge thank you for jumping on this call. I had a good time, same as always. Before we leave, any last words? Something you want to leave us with? Something to think about?
Um, for me, it's, Yo has helped me a lot. So I would love for people to think big, right? It's like, I will tell you how risky life it is. We are surely not going to make it. So it doesn't make sense whatever we do, right? It's good for all entrepreneurs to think big, fall down, and get up again. So for me, it's important to move forward and then change the mentality to a more positive way. Life of abundance is not no occasional thing. And then that's why for me, I'm building, Authentico is a new blockchain startup, which by the way, we started with a guy from EO South Florida, Chuck Haleki. Anyway, if it's big, it will make a nice story. But if it's not, then it's fine. It's a good story where I learned something. I don't consider failure or failing and stuff like that. Like for me, it's a stepping stone to something else. So everyone should think big and get out of our comfort zones. This is where the happiness takes place, right? Just that,
I love
nothing
it.
more.
I'll summarize if I understood correctly. Is
Thank you for having me here.
even if you're not an entrepreneur, right? Is think big, try worst cases you fail, keep moving, right? Try different things, have fun.
Exactly. You see small children, toddlers, they fall down, they cry, they get up, they laugh, they move forward. Simple.
It's all part of life. My friend, we will also put all the details about your company and how they can reach you. LinkedIn, WhatsApp. His WhatsApp is not bad at all. I have to say, I'm following. My friends, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned. Hope to see you in one of our many other YouTubes, podcasts, and so on. If you're interested to learn more, go to eoeurope.com. That's where all the information about all the entrepreneurs is, news and updates about people who sold their company, that won awards and different other things. And we're here, happy to share with you our journeys. Thank you very much, Leonidas. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure was all mine. See you soon.